They'll be in the studio and then they'll be fed the information, or now of course you get it off the computer. But excuse me, how it works with Metro is they have mostly traffic cameras, and they're situated all over between, pretty much 128 and the 93 area.
If you watch them on television, you can actually see, you know where they are.
Right, yeah, exactly. And then you have the helicopters that go up. Back in the day, we used to have a helicopter and 2 planes. So it was very,
nowadays,
very
they have
thorough.
one little helicopter, I think, that does it all.
Yeah,
because the
pretty
cameras
much
have
does.
taken over.
Yep. A lot of cameras, yeah.
The cameras work in the rain and the wind, and the helicopter won't.
Right, and the phone force too. We rely an awful lot of on people on the roadway, because you can tell people what it's like, but when you get a call from the roadway and they'll tell you, yeah, it's bad, but I've been here for an hour and a half, then you really get a sense for how you need to report it. So we rely an awful lot on phone calls. But that's basically what happens. Is there's one information gathering center, one producer, he'll produce that on the board, on the computer, and then they send that out into individual booths. And then in that booth, you have the capacity to be hooked up via satellite, or however you're patched in to your individual radio stations. So you can literally do whatever station you need to from your booth.
Wow,
yeah.
That's pretty good. Actually, Jack's got us now that we're actually broadcasting a Red Sox game right now. No, we're not.
Who knows?
They're not playing tonight. They've got tonight off. But if they were there, we still wouldn't be there.
But you might have the capacity.
Yeah. Have you ever been called up by somebody on the road saying, "What are you talking about?"
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't tell I haven't. You're saying everything's all right, and I haven't moved in an hour.
Many times. Many times. Yeah.
And it's your fault.
Well, that's funny because there was one morning. Not too long ago, like I said, I've left the business, but probably within the last year. It was a Saturday morning, and the DPW decided to do a little road work. Saturday morning, it's going to be okay. And traffic was a nightmare. It was about 10 o'clock on a Saturday. It was probably the summertime, so people needed to get to the Cape. And I had one woman who called up, and she was just furious. I mean, and you try not to get too personal. You try to let things bounce off of you. But I was just a mess at that point. She wasn't the only one who had called. And I finally went on the radio, and that's what I said. I said, it's not my fault. I'm really sorry, but it's not my fault. I'm telling you. But yeah, people would get really upset at us. And that's why we try our best to give the most accurate information.
Well, it's a little easier now without, like you say, you have cameras everywhere. You can actually get your information live. People call in on cell phones, and it's a little bit
but
different.
It changes so often. Really, you have to really be on your toes. So yeah, you get plenty of people who call you and they're upset.
So while you were on, and it's a fair ride from where you were coming from to here now, and we have John was good enough to give you a ride down here. Were you telling him the traffic on the way down
No, I
here?
wasn't. No,
be careful up here now. Coming to the split now. You're going to run into a little back up in the left-hand lane.
No, since I've left the business, I've tried to put that all behind me after 16 years of doing that.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to let it all go.
Okay, so you don't offer any hints or anything. No. Oh, look, I see something up here.
No, I'm trying to be good.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now we get your most funny stories. What is your most interesting thing that's ever happened to you on the air, I would say?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that have happened on the air or is in the career. I mean, I've had, I've worked a lot of major stories. I worked at NPR when the shoe bomber happened, and I had just basically literally walked into the studio when that happened. I remember it was December because I remember I was delivering Christmas presents and totally unprepared. So, that was an interesting night because it was a Saturday, I believe. We didn't have a large news staff, so it was really difficult. There was two of us that were covering that story, and we had people calling, from Canada, from Australia. They wanted a local reporter to go on the air, and at the same time we were running the station and trying to get the latest news. So it's been very interesting.
Wow. Yeah. Now few months ago, I was Joe Ligotti asked me on to do his show, the Joe and Huggy Show.
Yeah.
And I was on there, on, it's a Saturday, and that was during that particular time of the day is when we decided, when the United States started launching cruise missiles against Libya.
Yeah.
So that was going on in the middle of what they referred to as regular guy radio.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting because they were trying to, they were getting feeds, from this, and it's a little off their beaten path.
Yeah.
And they were trying, they were doing a good job of it, but it definitely they were out of their element with it.
Yeah, and I started the career basically in radio when I was, like I said, I was having babies, and so I was working a lot of weekend shifts, and people would say, "Oh, nothing ever happens on the weekend." But boy, we covered a lot of major stories. JFK Jr. when the plane went down, that was one of ours. So a lot of stuff happened on Saturdays that we really had to be, professional about. You just, you can't sleep. News never sleeps. Same with traffic. It never ended.
No, it never ends. There's a lot of us that can attest to that. Yeah. So I want to just change up here now. Rumor has it that you were the City of Melrose Community Arts Liaison.
Yeah, I still am, actually.
You still are? How long have you been doing that?
It's probably going on about 7 or 8 years now for Mayor Rob.
They haven't caught up to you yet.
I fooled them again, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, still working with that. I'm working with Mayor Rob Dolan. Not as active as I was, especially since the economic downturn. His attention's really been turned to keeping the city vibrant. But we just did a video last year. We entered it into a statewide contest. We came in third for the arts and culture in our city.
I won't tell you what place this video is going to come in. So what exactly do you do there? What does that consist of besides doing a video that came in third?
Well, I basically liaison.
Should have came in first. It really should have.
The people of Haverhill had us caught, so.
Nah, you could beat them. Come on now, it was rigged.
Well, it was a public vote, so. But we're very proud. They called us the little engine that could. Basically, I had been the chairperson of the Melrose Arts Council, which is the local councils that give away the arts lottery money. Mm-hmm. And I had been the chair of that for 6 years. When my tenure was up, I went to Mayor Dolan and I convinced him to create the position of liaison for me, seeing that there was a need for a larger organization to bring the arts together in the city. And also a need to filter information and give people information that were calling the mayor's office that they didn't really know, where they could turn to. So I give them my number and I'll take care of it. So that's basically what I did. And then I helped organize a committee that established the Melrose Arts Festival. And now we're in our 6th year. It's a juried festival. It brings people from all over the North Shore. So I'm really proud of that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, Mansfield is a small town, but we're very big into the arts in this. And we have actually one of the shows that's broadcast here in the Mansfield Cable Access Studios is the Arts and the Spotlight Show. And the young ladies that take care of that do a fantastic job. We have it's called the Mansfield Music and Arts Society. There's good people there. They have theater uptown, up in the center of town, the Black Box Theater, and they really do a nice job.
Yeah.
And they have little things to support themselves. And there's a gentleman there named Ken Butler who's very involved in this. He's multi-talented. He gets involved in the productions and as well as everything else. And he's kind of like, I guess he would be like our arts liaison, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't have an official one.
Every community should have should have somebody who they can help take care of the arts. It's important, for the vibrancy of the city.
Yeah. Well, no, it is, and it's funny, the ones that have the arts, it really stands out. And these people worked long and hard to find a place, and they finally, have a place they can call their home now, and it's a nice place. I urge you to go, everybody go up there and see them, and at the Black Box Theater. So now you are done with radio.
I am.
You're done with waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, that was one of the reasons, yeah.
And what happened? What happened like in a snowstorm? Did you have to get up even earlier?
Yeah.
You just have to kind of
or find a place to sleep. I've slept on many a couch in many a radio station.
Wow.
Yeah, and you got to make sure you're there. You can't call in sick. You can't call in, can't
snowed
drive.
In, yeah.
So that was one of the reasons I just I was ready for a change.
Right. People seem to think of and I know I'm dating myself, but I'm good at that, WKRP, where they actually had the news and the weather, and they had all these different people, and it doesn't work like that. And just not anymore.
Yeah, and you have to be there. That's the whole thing is, you know, if you don't show up, there's no show.
No, and a lot of times you're not even in the same, you can't even see the other people.
Yeah.
Right? So this is for y'all out there, get a little education. A lot of times they, you know, the news person or the weather, they'll be talking to like I'm talking to Gina, but she's in the next zip code. Right, yeah. They're in different ends of the building.
Just like at Metro, when we were doing the traffic, we would be in our own booth, and we would be talking to somebody at a remote location. So yeah, it can be challenging because especially in a snowstorm, you don't know where people are, and you know, or like I gave you the story about Tom, and you know, I ran in late. Nobody told him that you know, the talent had been switched.
So okay, so now we are all done with the radio. You've decided enough of that.
Yep.
So what are you doing now?
I have switched careers and I'm writing.
You're writing now?
I am. I've become a writer.
Really?
Yeah.
Writing the news?
No. Well, I'm writing custom news right now. I'm working for an agency that we do custom news.
Like news releases, new press releases?
Yeah, and it's what's called search engine optimizing.
Oh, well, excuse me.
We help clients basically get the most out of the news story that's related to their industry. So we'll write news stories that's geared towards their industry in a way that will draw people to their website. But I'm working on a number of freelance projects as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what? You had something to do with children at all? Or?
I am doing a children's book.
Really? Amazing that I knew that.
How did you know that?
You know what? It was the envelope. I want to do Karnak. Yeah, a children's book. So anyways, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've written a book about the Big Dig. As a traffic reporter, I realized that there was no children's book about the story of the Big Dig. And so I went out and did some research, and I've got the manuscript together, and it's out in submission right now. I'm waiting to hear from publishers, so fingers crossed.
Do you have a title?
I do have a title. It's called Boston's Other Green Monster, a story of the Big Dig.
Wow, can you tell us a little bit about it?
I will tell you about it. It's a story about a little boy from the North End who goes to...
Is his name Anthony?
His name is Tony.
Oh.
Of course it is. He goes to visit his grandfather, and his grandfather takes him down to the Rose Kennedy Greenway, and they have a beautiful day splashing in the fountains and playing in the park. And Tony turns to his grandfather and says, "This is a great park. My father must have loved this when he grew up here." And the grandfather says, "Oh, no, this wasn't a park." And the little boy says, what do you mean?" And he says, "There used to be a green monster right here over your head." And the boy says, "Well, that's silly. The green monster's in Fenway Park." And the grandfather sets out to set him straight, and he tells him the story of the Big Dig and how it came to be.
And now, is this an illustrated book? Or?
It will be illustrated. It will be a children's picture book with hopefully, pictures of the project, of the construction, and some graphics about the architecture and how it was done as well. I did bring some pictures, not that will be in the book, but I read the story to the children of Melrose recently, just to get a feel for if they, without having pictures in the book, if they could visualize the story.
Well, we'll see if maybe we can get a couple of them on the screen.
Yeah, that would be great.
So how long does it take to write a children's book?
It took me a total of 3 years. Okay. It took me 1 year basically to come up with the concept, and then it took me another year to do a little bit of research. There's probably some more research that can be done once it's going to be published. We'll need to do a little bit more tightening up as far as getting the pictures together and maybe some of the stuff that's going to work in the chronological order. But I did some research. I spoke with the grandfather of the project, Fred Salvucci, and sat down and spoke with him and talked to a couple of people about growing up in the North End. So I did a little bit of research. I did a little bit of research, yeah. It's a very simple story, but I wanted to get it right. And then it took me about another year to actually, get it all down and write it.
Nice, nice. I happen to know where there is a piece of the second green monster.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.